Welcome back to Chat Like a Native, everybody. We're all about helping you sound more fluent, more natural, more like a native English speaker.
That's right.
And today, we're tackling something, well, kind of sneaky that can make you sound less confident when you speak English. We're talking about over-apologizing.
Yeah.
You might be surprised at how often you say sorry
Right.
when you really don't need to,
It's true.
and how much this can actually be undermining your credibility
Definitely.
without you even realizing it.
Absolutely. It's a habit that we see so often, especially for those who are learning English,
Right.
as a second or a third language or whatever it may be.
Right. So we want to be polite, obviously.
Of course.
But at what point does being polite cross over into, just too many apologies?
That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because sometimes too many apologies actually make you sound less confident rather than more polite. You're not sure of what you're saying, which can really be a problem, especially in a professional setting.
Yeah, you can imagine going in to give a big presentation
to
your boss.
Yeah.
And you're just like, sorry, but I think, sorry, but I have this idea. Sorry if it's a bad idea, but...
You're already putting yourself down.
You're already
before you've even begun.
Totally.
And it actually can become like a negative feedback loop.
Oh, interesting.
Where the more you apologize, the less confident you appear. And then that can make you actually feel less confident.
Oh, wow.
So then you apologize more and more. It's become a whole thing.
Oh, I see. It's a cycle.
Yes.
So why do we do this? Is it just are we just trying to be extra polite?
Oh, politeness plays a role, obviously.
Right.
But I think it goes deeper than that.
Okay.
Different cultures have very different norms around apologizing.
That's true.
Some cultures apologize constantly.
Right.
And others are much more direct.
Yeah, it's true. And even within, English-speaking cultures.
Yeah.
There are differences.
Big time.
Like in certain regions or countries, people might just be more prone to saying sorry.
Yeah, absolutely.
Than in others.
So if you're learning English, it can be hard to know, how much is too much? How much is expected?
I don't know.
Because you might just be, copying what you're hearing.
Right.
And not realizing that it's not necessarily appropriate for every situation.
Okay, so it's not just about politeness. It's about cultural influences. And I guess maybe even a little bit of maybe insecurity about speaking a language that's not your native language.
Right, exactly.
Like you're worried about making mistakes or not being understood.
So you're constantly apologizing for
right.
taking up space or
for existing,
expressing your thoughts.
Yeah, and it's like you're almost apologizing in advance for a mistake.
Right.
Before you've even made it.
Yeah, exactly.
But everybody makes mistakes when they're learning a new language.
Absolutely, yeah.
Part of the process, right?
Part of the process.
You can't expect to be perfect from day one.
It's like learning to ride a bike.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to fall off a few times
before
you get the hang of it.
Okay, so we know that over-apologizing is a problem.
Yeah.
But how do we fix it?
Right. How do we actually change this habit?
Where do we even begin?
Well, I think the first step is just to become aware. Start paying attention to how often you're saying sorry.
Okay.
And in what context are you apologizing for something you actually did wrong? Or are you just using it as a filler word?
Right.
Or a way to soften what you're saying?
It's like becoming a detective.
Yes.
Of your own speech patterns, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so awareness is step one. Then what?
Then the fun part.
Okay.
We start to explore other ways to express the same things.
Okay, so instead of saying sorry all the time, we need to think about different phrases.
Right, that are more direct.
That are more confident.
And more assertive.
Okay, give me an example. What could we say instead of sorry to bother you?
Right, so instead of sorry to bother you, you could try, do you have a moment?
Okay.
Or could I ask you a quick question?
Oh, I see.
Right.
So it's instead of starting from a place of apology, you're just getting straight to the point.
Exactly. You're stating your need without apologizing for it.
Okay. So we've got awareness and we've got finding new ways to say things.
Alternative phrases.
Yeah. What else?
What else can we do?
What else can we do to break this habit?
Yeah, to really stop over-apologizing. One thing that can really help is mindfulness.
Mindfulness.
Just taking a moment to pause before you say sorry.
Okay.
And ask yourself, is this a real apology? Or am I just saying it out of habit?
Okay.
Or because I'm, afraid of maybe a little bit of conflict.
Oh, interesting.
It's like that sorry just pops out.
Yeah, it's a safety net.
It is a
Yeah.
safety net, yeah.
Yeah.
And again, it can be tough
Right.
when you're thinking about different cultures
Mm-hmm.
and what's expected.
Right, because some people just apologize more than others.
Right. Oh, big time, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, some people will apologize for, like, everything.
Like if they bump into you, they'll apologize.
Even if it was your fault.
Even if it was my fault, exactly.
Yeah, it's like they think sorry will just fix anything.
Right, like it's magic.
Yeah, it's a magic word.
But it's not always magic.
It's not. And in fact, you know, a genuine apology can be really powerful.
Right.
But when you overuse it, it loses its power.
It does, yeah.
And it makes you seem
Less sincere.
less sincere.
Yeah.
Less believable.
Yeah, less credible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And ultimately less confident.
Right, so it's not about never apologizing.
Yeah.
It's about being more mindful
Right.
about when you do it. Yeah, using it in the right moments.
Okay, so that's one strategy.
Right.
What else?
So another strategy is to start replacing those unnecessary apologies.
Okay, so instead of sorry,
Yeah.
what do we say?
With more, assertive language.
Okay, give me some examples.
So for instance, instead of saying, sorry for bothering you,
Okay.
you could try saying, thank you for your time.
Ooh, that's good.
Right.
Instead of being sorry, you're
Yeah.
being grateful.
You're expressing gratitude.
Yeah, I like that.
And it also, it just kind of shifts the focus.
Mhm.
It's not about you imposing. It's about them being generous with their time.
I see.
And their attention.
Yeah.
And you're acknowledging that.
Okay, so swap sorry for thank you.
Exactly.
I like it. What else?
So another good technique is using I statements.
I statements.
So instead of saying like, sorry, but I disagree,
Okay.
you could say, I see things a bit differently,
Yeah.
or from my perspective.
So you're still acknowledging their point of view,
Right.
but you're not apologizing.
You're not apologizing for having your own opinion.
Right.
You're just stating it clearly.
And confidently.
Yes.
And it's not just the words, right?
No.
It's also your body language.
Absolutely.
It's your tone of voice.
When you apologize all the time,
Yeah.
you tend to physically shrink,
Oh, yeah.
make yourself smaller.
Yeah.
Your voice gets quieter.
Right? You're like,
But when you use assertive language, you stand up taller.
mm-hmm.
You make eye contact.
Right.
You project your voice.
It's like you're embodying that confidence.
Exactly. You're showing it physically as well.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got awareness.
Mm-hmm.
We've got replacing apologies with other phrases
Right.
and using I statements.
Using I statements.
Okay, these are great starting points.
Yeah.
But how do we actually put this into practice?
Right. What can we do?
What are some things our listeners can try
Yeah.
to help them really solidify these new habits?
Well, one classic exercise
Okay.
is the mirror exercise.
The mirror exercise.
So stand in front of a mirror
Okay.
and imagine a situation where you tend to over-apologize.
Like maybe asking for a raise
Yes.
or disagreeing with a friend.
You're right. Something that makes you a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, those are the tough ones.
That's the tough ones.
Because you don't want to cause conflict.
Right.
You want to keep things harmonious.
Yeah, exactly.
So what do? We look in the mirror.
So you practice that conversation
Okay.
in the mirror
Mm-hmm.
and notice when you're tempted to say sorry
Okay.
and consciously replace it
Right.
with a more assertive phrase.
Okay.
So instead of saying, sorry, but I think I deserve a raise,
Yeah.
you could try saying, I've consistently exceeded expectations in my role,
Mm-hmm.
and I believe a raise is warranted.
I love that.
Right.
It's very clear.
You're not apologizing.
Yeah.
You're stating your value.
And you're looking at yourself in the mirror.
Yeah.
So you're seeing that confidence.
You're practicing the body language as well.
Okay. Mirror exercise.
Another great technique is journaling.
Journaling.
So keep a little journal for a week,
Mm-hmm.
and every time you catch yourself saying sorry,
Uh-huh.
write it down,
Write down the situation.
and then think about it.
Okay.
Was it really necessary?
Mm-hmm.
Could you have said something else?
Right.
Brainstorm different phrases.
So it's like a language experiment.
It is. It's like you're becoming a researcher
It's a researcher.
of your own language.
Of my own language.
Exactly.
I like that.
And then if you really want to take it to the next level,
Okay. Next level. Tell me.
find a language partner.
A language partner.
Or join a conversation group
Mm-hmm.
and explain to them that you're working on this.
Right.
And ask them to point out
When I say sorry.
every time you apologize unnecessarily.
Okay.
And they can also give you feedback on the new phrases you're trying.
So it's like having a coach.
It is like having a coach.
A language coach.
Yes.
Yeah, and sometimes it's easier to hear it.
Oh, absolutely.
And somebody else points it out.
It's much easier to see it in other people.
Yeah, than in yourself.
But having that outside perspective can be so valuable.
Yeah.
And it's just more fun.
More fun to practice with other people.
Yeah.
Oh, what about role-playing?
Oh, role-playing is fantastic.
Like, I remember doing that in drama class.
Yeah.
And it was always, like, a little bit silly.
It can be silly.
But also, like, really effective.
But it's so effective because
Yeah.
you're practicing in a safe space.
Yeah. So you and a friend can practice different scenarios.
Exactly.
Where you might be tempted to over-apologize.
So maybe you're practicing, asking for help at work or giving a presentation or even something like, negotiating a price.
Right, like at a market or something.
Yeah, at a market, something like that.
I can see how that would be really helpful.
It is.
Because you're getting comfortable.
You're building that muscle memory.
Yeah, for those trickier situations.
Exactly.
And the more you practice, the more natural it becomes.
And the beautiful thing is, these skills, they're not just for English.
Oh, interesting.
Once you learn these techniques, you can apply them to any language.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, confidence is confidence.
It's universal.
It's a universal language.
Yeah, and the more confident you are in your ability to communicate in any language,
absolutely,
the better, right?
So many doors open.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
For you. So we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
Talking about why we over-apologize, the effects it can have.
Yeah.
Some practical strategies for stopping.
For sure.
Anything else you want to add?
Any final words of wisdom?
For our listeners who are trying to, chat like natives.
I think the most important thing is to be patient with yourself.
Okay.
This is a habit that takes time to change.
It doesn't happen overnight.
It doesn't happen overnight. So don't get discouraged if you slip up. It's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
Just notice it, gently correct yourself, and keep practicing.
It's about progress, not perfection.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Every step you take towards more confident communication is a step in the right direction.
It's a win.
It is a win.
Absolutely. But here's something I've been thinking about. We've talked about, personal habits and cultural influences. But what about social norms?
Oh, interesting.
Like, do you think there's pressure to over-apologize?
Absolutely.
Especially, in certain settings or situations.
I think society often conditions us to apologize for taking up space, for expressing our needs, for, just existing sometimes.
Yeah, it's like we're always worried about inconveniencing someone, even if we haven't actually done anything.
Yeah, it's like that preemptive apology, just in case.
Just in case. Yeah.
And that can be even harder for English learners because you're already trying to navigate this new language.
Right, this new culture.
New
rules, yeah.
You want to be seen as polite.
Right.
And respectful.
But then you end up over-apologizing.
Exactly.
So how do we, break free from those expectations without being rude?
Yeah, it's a good question.
It's a tough one, right?
It is.
Because you don't want to offend anyone.
Right.
But you also want to...
But you want to be true to yourself.
Be yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, confidence is contagious.
Oh, interesting.
When you are confident in your communication, other people pick up on that.
I see.
And it can actually give them permission to be more confident themselves.
So by, breaking free from this over-apologizing, we're not just helping ourselves.
Right.
We're kind of helping to change the norms around us.
Exactly. It's like a ripple effect.
I like that. Okay, so what's, a small step that we can take?
Well, sometimes just acknowledging a situation without actually apologizing can make a big difference.
Give me an example.
So let's say someone bumps into you. You could just say, oh, excuse me, or no problem.
Instead of sorry.
Right, instead of automatically saying sorry.
So you're acknowledging that something happened, but you're not taking the blame.
Exactly.
Right.
And sometimes a simple thank you can be more effective than an apology.
Okay, so instead of saying, sorry, I didn't see you there.
Right.
If someone holds the door.
You can just say, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's simpler.
It is. And it shifts your mindset from oh, I did something wrong to, oh, I appreciate this gesture.
Yeah. You're focusing on the positive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's also, I think, important to remember that you deserve to be here. You deserve to take up space, to express your thoughts.
And have an opinion.
To have an opinion.
Yeah.
And you don't have to apologize for that.
I love that. It's a good reminder.
It is.
And it's interesting because language is always evolving.
Right.
Right? So by choosing to use more confident language,
Right.
we're actually like helping to shape that evolution.
Exactly. We're all part of this.
We're all part of it.
Yeah.
So for our listeners out there,
Mm-hmm.
I encourage you to become observers of language.
Of language.
Pay attention.
Pay attention to how people use apologies,
Mm-hmm.
both in English
Yeah.
and in your native language.
Right, because it might be different.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So notice the patterns.
Okay.
Notice the impact it has.
On the conversation.
That's like becoming a language detective.
It is. It's like you're doing research, but in a fun way.
In a fun way.
Yeah.
Okay, so to wrap up this deep dive
Mm-hmm.
into apologies.
Into the world of apologies.
Confidence is not about being perfect.
No.
It's about embracing your imperfections.
Owning your voice.
Yes.
Expressing yourself clearly.
Yeah.
And not being afraid to make mistakes.
To make mistakes.
Yeah.
So ditch the sorries.
Ditch those sorries.
Embrace your unique voice.
And keep chatting like a native.
That's right. We'll see you next time on Chat Like a Native.
Until then.